safeties drift backwards, toss it underneath Deontay Johnson. Johnson trying to get out of bounds. He's ridden out of bounds. And the clock will continue to roll. He never quite got there, and Johnson is grabbing at his right leg. That's it. The Raiders with an impressive start to the season.
And welcome everybody to another edition here of Show Blitz of the Steelers versus Raiders post-game show as the Mass Steel Podcast presents right now. I'm your host, Charles Prodigy Richey. Steelers fall once again to the Vegas Raiders, unfortunately, as they do it again right now. Lead the all-time series now 17-13 career-wise. Steelers are now 4 games under 500 in this regard, and Jon Gruden goes 2-0 against his former coaching assistant Mike Tomlin when they're once upon a time paired up as Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they won their one and only Super Bowl together back in 2002, taking over Tony Dungy's team from a year prior. And here we go right now. Definitely had its ugly moments in this game. Very rare positives you could really find in this game. A loss that a lot of people did not see coming. I mean, clearly was hoping for a better result. But I think at the end of the day right now, you got to give the Raiders right now a lot of credit. I mean, you talk about a guy, Jon Gruden right now. Granted, it's only the first 2 games of the season right now. But this guy is under a lot of pressure right now for the simple fact that he needs to get it done. He needs to, I mean, not so much by the ownership just yet, but from people covering this Raiders team and watch him, the guy who signed a 10-year contract has failed to even take this team to the playoffs one time since returning to the Silver and Black. Last year he had an 8-8 record. Didn't have a losing season for the first time since coming back. But it's just one of those things right now where I feel like the Steelers right now played a lot of undisciplined football going into this game right now. And, here we go right now. I want to get your thoughts right now in today's game. What did you feel like were the key moments in this contest right now? Because I got to tell you right now, I think it could slice either both ways. I mean, I look at it in this game, and I can't wait to see the stats of Pro Football Reference, but there was a lot of missed tackling, I feel like, in this game. It was really hard to, tackle some of these Raiders players going into this game. I mean, that were just really making them look silly. And I think the Steelers secondary right now, when we look at this game, I think it went back in time 5 years ago. I mean, it just amazed me how guys like Joe Hayden, especially Devin Bush right now. Now, Devin Bush, don't get me wrong, he had a little weird offseason, retweeting the falling cat video. There were some concerns right there by the Pittsburgh media about where his mindset was going to be at. But, I mean, he was a little bit hurt coming off of the injury, coming back to see where his focus was going to be at. And I got to tell you right now, when I look at this game, I mean, when you look at some of the Raiders players that really stood out in this game, the Raiders were without Josh Jacobs, still managed to gain 52 yards on the ground. But really what did it was the passing. And a lot of people were definitely anticipating the Raiders to really attack the Steelers with their passing game, which they did. You have Derek Carr finishing up the game, 382 yards off of 37 passing attempts.
Your dry skin story changes from one day to the next.
2 touchdowns
Try Eucerin
in this
Advanced
game
Repair and
with
Switch.
a quarterback
It doubles your
rating
skin's
of
moisture and repairs dry skin
126.2.
over time. So
Versus
tomorrow can
Ben
be a different
Roethlisberger,
story.
he went 27 of
Eucerin,
40
recommended and
for
used by dermatologists.
295 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. But I really feel like the players on the Raiders that really stood out today. I mean, Henry Ruggs, I think, definitely deservedly so one of the key players of this game for the Raiders who were to hand out a game ball. Caught 5
yards on
catches out of 7 targets. He only dropped 2 passes in this game. Leading receiver for both teams, 113 yards, a touchdown in this game. And then you also look at, on the defensive side, both these teams had 2 sacks right here. in this contest right here. When I look at it, and you really think about it too. I mean, Max Crosby, who I was predicting to be one of the key guys the Steelers had to watch out
Good
for,
morning.
did a good job of minimizing
We're
him
gonna try
on the
something
defense
different
side.
today.
But fairness too, I mean, you look at a guy like Najee Harris once again, who's struggled.
Dogs bring out the good in
the
us.
second game.
Pedigree brings out the
10
good in
carries for
them.
38 yards, but he was able to catch his first
handoff. Smith-Schuster coming around, and he's into the end zone for a touchdown.
Right here.
Steelers go to
So
the
he did
handoff
finish
to
off
the
the day
receiver,
nicely.
Juju
15
Smith-Schuster.
plays
Pittsburgh
for
taking the lead.
what we look at it in this contest for 83 yards of scrimmage. So probably gets his first score right now. He is in this right now for the time being. And when I look at it right now, I mean, it was just right now. I think you gotta give Jon Gruden and the Raiders a lot of respect. You gotta tip their cap off to them. And here's the thing too. I mean, I saw some comments about penalties, which could have really went the other way. But when you dissect this game, which I'm about to do right now, like I said, here is like the ugly part of this right now. So for the second straight week, when you look at the Steelers right now, the way they've been performing right now, and this is a little bit of a concern right now. I still think defensively, they're still tops in the league, but I'm getting a little concerned right now. What we see with the injuries right now, I mean, we saw how impactful it was to not have Joe Hayden in this game. I mean, last week versus the Buffalo Bills, what did they give up in total yards for that game when we look at it? 371 yards this time in this game for the overall 425. So about 54 more yards ballooned up to, mainly because 88% of those yards came through the air of Derek Carr right here. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, that is just incredible right here. I mean, through the air, he passed for 373 yards. He got sacked twice for 9 yards in this contest. And I mean, that's probably one of the very good things I could say right now. The sack streak does continue. 75 straight games now for the Steelers. That has not been disrupted. TJ Watt, who once again led the charge with the very first sack of the game in this contest. Unfortunately, he had to leave the game due to a groin injury early in the first half. Prior, we saw Tyson Alualu leave the game, in this contest right here, too. And which was confirmed at the end of the game by Mike Tomlin that he suffered an ankle early in the first half. Brooke Pryor did mention for ESPN, she's a Steelers reporter for ESPN, Joe Hayden and Devin Bush going into this game had soft tissue injuries. And Al-Lalu's injury will be out for a significant amount of time. Jerry Dulac is anticipating that he'll be ruled out for the rest of the season. Surgery expected to be done tomorrow right here. And I got to tell you right now, Isaiah Buggs, now he's going to really start to prove his worth right now. What he could do. It's next man up right now. We are talking the Steelers versus Raiders. The Raiders, once again, frustrate the Steelers time. Hard to believe it's been over a decade since they last beat this team back in 2010. And here we go again right now. I'd like to get your thoughts right now. Feel free. You can definitely catch me out streaming right now on Facebook Live. You can search the Mass Steel Podcast. If you want, if you hit the like, you could also follow it at Mass Steel Nation right here. Definitely not the outcome a lot of people were expecting, but the only positive thing I can say right now, despite the fact there's got to be a lot of cleanup as we anticipate with this run block in the offensive line, only 2 games in, I'm not going to hit the panic button just yet. I still feel like it's a long ways to go here. And when you really think about things, you just cannot allow this right now to be doom and gloom right now. But with the injuries right now, and the only part is too, you look at Roethlisberger. You're going to look at the stats sheet, see that he threw for 295 yards. I mean, in this game right here. And when we look at it too, I mean, with Rossberger, who threw for, let's see, in this contest right here, one touchdown with a pick. Then we saw one rushing touchdown earlier in the game by Juju Smith-Schuster. Listen, I mean, he wasn't getting a lot of confidence from his offensive line, clearly. But there's times where you have to throw the ball away when you're feeling the pressure. I mean, there was one play, I think, like in the first or second quarter right there, where I think it was like a third down, feeling the rush right there, tries to move around, throws the pass, and tries to force it to a receiver. Instead, it gets picked off by the Vegas Raiders. You got to throw that ball away. And maybe, just maybe, it's just not Ben Roethlisberger's style when we look at his career as a Steeler, quarterbacking this team. I mean, he's a guy who will always continue to try and make plays without a doubt and try and play the role of a hero here at this time. I mean, he definitely feel like he was extremely disappointed himself, very frustrated, all the work that he's put into it, and this is the result they got to get once again right now. Again, it's 1-1 right now. Steelers now lifetime at Heinz Field in home openers. They now drop to 16-5 with their 5 losses coming in 2002. Ironically, versus the Oakland Raiders Sunday Night Football. Second loss was back in 2013 versus Tennessee Titans, very first game of the season, by the way, not only their home opener. And he had back-to-back seasons for the first time ever in 2018 and 2019 versus the Chiefs and Seahawks. And last but not least, once again to the Vegas Raiders, not the Oakland Raiders, the Vegas Raiders in this contest right now. Frustrating once again. And I got to tell you right now, I think it's time for Jon Gruden. I mean, he knows he's got to deliver. I think Mark Davis right now, listen, he's been very patient with him. They love the camaraderie together. But at some point, too, listen, when you're a coach of a team like this and a team who's been only to the playoffs just one other time since their last Super Bowl appearance, I mean, making the playoffs, I mean, in this millennium, when you slice it, you only made the playoffs 4 times this century. That's just not good enough for them. And they want to restore that pride right now. I mean, Al Davis, Al Davis, I know he's up there in heaven. He's smiling down at his Raiders franchise with just win, baby. And they definitely did that, sent a message. And the biggest thing that really kills me and tears me apart a little bit too, this is a very crucial game because this is why. You're 0-4 in the AFC West 3 years ago, last time you faced this division, all 4 teams. And now that this is a common game opponent for everyone else in the AFC North. I mean, if you win this game, you go 2-0. I mean, and then you look at like the Ravens, how they started off last week versus the Raiders. They lose to the Raiders in there. Then you had the Cleveland Browns opening game of the season. I mean, kicking off their season versus the Kansas City Chiefs. They fall to them in week 1. So everyone right now, I mean, in here is 0-1, with the exception of the Bengals right now, which, by the way, everyone in the division faces the NFC North. They're 1-0 against the Vikings, but now 1-1 in common opponents, while everyone else is 0-1. And that's the thing that is really a damper right now, because we're breaking down tiebreakers sooner rather than later. And I got to tell you right now, it's just it's a little depressing. And you really, it just feels like a bad car accident, the way this game felt like today. I mean, the Raiders give them a lot of credit. Like I said, I really feel like they found a way to get into the minds of the Steelers right now from a psychological standpoint. They've won that battle clearly, in my estimation. And here we go right now. It's just very too surprising. I mean, when you look, when you expect to sell an offense for the second straight week, I mean, last week they were lucky they scored on all 4 of their scoring drives. I mean, in that second half, they had perfect second half as far as executing on all their drives. This week, I mean, however, when you look at like the second half, they had 6 drives. They had 2 scores, 6 scoring drives in the second half, finishing the contest 3 for 11, 27%. That is not a real good indication right now. And you really got to think right now. The only thing is, too, when you really look at it, I mean, this is where I really start to feel bad for Najee Harris, a guy who's definitely put out there prior to the season, definitely saying that he could do a lot of things that Le'Veon Bell did. He could run, he could catch. And you got to really start to wonder right now, are the Steelers not involved with this guy enough? I mean, just think about it. I mean, from the previous game, he gets 15 touches in this game. I mean, 10 carries in today's game versus the Raiders. And then when you also look at the Buffalo Bills back in week number 1 for the start off the season versus the Buffalo Bills, I mean, let's look at this for a second right now. You look at Najee Harris, he had 16 carries in that contest, 17 touchdowns. He had 1 receiving option in that game where he caught for 4 yards. And Najee right now, so he, I mean, at the most part, when you look at it, I mean, this has been like one of the things right now. And then you look at today's game in week number 2 versus the Oakland Raiders. I mean, you have Ben Roethlisberger 40 passing attempts versus 10 carries by your running back, Najee Harris. So, I mean, he didn't hit the 50-yard attempt number like we're usually accustomed to seeing, where a lot of people heavily criticize Ben Roethlisberger for passing it too much. But again, when you continue to have rookies right now, I mean, a brand new offensive line beating starters right here, it's very vital right now. We know they're going to have their growing pains. We know there's going to be frustration along the way. Okay. The thing is right now, I disagree with Shannon Sharp, where he thinks that this is not a playoff team. I really beg to differ on that. But for right now, listen, this comes with the territory. And like I said, this is going to be the year where we're going to find out right now, Mike Tomlin, it's either going to be a win or a losing season. If it's not a win or losing season, the only way he could go 500 is by going 8-1. So you would need a tie. I don't think anyone wants to see that again like they did 3 years ago. But say what you will right now. We're breaking this down right now for this game. Steelers versus Raiders get upset by the Raiders once again. The only positive thing, like I said, sack streak continues at 75 straight games and counting. The league record in NFL history with consecutive games with a sack, 75 games, 253 sacks total in those 75 game spans. Also, the inactives prior to this game. The notable inactives were, of course, inside linebacker Devin Bush and cornerback Joe Hayden. Significantly missed today. And I think definitely Devin Bush was huge as far as, because I really felt like there was a lot of missed tackling going in this game. And then the corner coverage right here. I mean, let's look at that for a second. I mean, I really like to see how much targeted Cam Sutton got in this game. Because Cam Sutton, too, by the way, who was supposed to be a significant part of this defense right now, he didn't get any pass deflections in today's game. He only had 3 total tackles, 2 of them solo. He was nowhere to be found. There was only 2 pass deflections in this game. That was by mainly your defensive front, Cam Hayward and Chris Wormley. Problematic right there. But I tell you what, I mean, if there's some other people that could shine in today's game, I'm definitely looking at like Robert Spillane, Melvin Ingram right there. These guys definitely seem to be doing their job. I mean, being disruptors or really making some plays in this game right now. And that's what I feel about that. But it's very disheartening right now when you had a defense that started off really well against the Bills, and today it just was not their day. They got scorched through the air, no doubt. And boy, they was spanking on the Steelers today. It was not a blowout, but it definitely, watching this game, you had so many valuable moments. And let's go ahead and get into some of those moments right here that was really pivotal for today's game right here, right now. I felt especially in the second half, time of possession, which I was preaching. If you guys saw me, any of my tweets, again, that's at MetaSteelCGR. They out-possessed the ball, the Raiders did, versus the Steelers by 6.5 minutes. They had the ball for over 18 minutes versus the Steelers near 12 minutes right there, especially in that third quarter right there, where it was down to a minute 55 in that contest right there. And in that contest right there, when you look at that one, I mean, going into that, I mean, you look at where they were collectively as a unit right there in that game. And basically here, right here, the Steelers right now, who had to punt away for the most part, and when we look at it, I mean, I thought what was really critical was that they were down 16-7. 16-7, you cannot score. Minute 55 left to go. So you're going in the fourth quarter down by 2 possessions, 9 points. I felt like that was severely brutal right there. I mean, this was a game where you were looking for your offense, hopefully, to get back in this game somehow, because we still see Ben Roethlisberger still try and heave it. I still feel like there's quite a few passes that are being overthrown in this game. I mean, yeah, you can say all you want about the referees, like, miss some crucial calls. But at the same time, you got to learn to man up, step up to the plate, and get rid of the excuses. To me, this was just very frustrating game play by the Steelers. It was clearly being shown, and they just lost focus, in my opinion, especially like a guy with Trey Turner right there, who got ejected in this game, I think, around the fourth quarter. And Mike Tomlin did say in the press conference regarding Trey Turner, he said that a Raiders player spat in the face of Trey Turner, and Turner, who was upset, was talking to the guy, spat back, and it was ejected. Listen, spitting is a big no-no, and this for both teams. 2 wrongs do not make it right. Unfortunately, Trey Turner was a guy who happened to get caught right there. And listen, I'm not going to beat up on the guy too much, but spitting is just not a good look, no matter how you slice it. And that's an example where I'm talking about where the Raiders got under their skin. They may have got under it in a dirty way, but you got to learn to keep composure in these contests right now, because I really feel like that was the only thing that was disheartening. They played disciplined football last week versus the Bills with no turnovers in that game, if I'm not mistaken. And then this week, you have 1 turnover. I mean, it was only 1 turnover. That was an interception by Ben Roethlisberger in the first half, but still, I mean, you got to be more on your A game than that, in my opinion. Another thing that really hurt this team right now, not going for it on 4th and 1. 4th and 1, I mean, when you really look at it, I mean, right now, I mean, they were down, I mean, at that point, when we take a look at that spot of the game, basically, and which I really feel like was definitely very crucial for this team. This is where they were down 23-14. After moments earlier, they cut that lead down to 2 points. They had to burn one of their first of their 3 timeouts with 11:29 remaining in the fourth quarter after converting a first down. And then a few plays later, 25-yard touchdown pass to Najee Harris right there, which cut the lead to 2 points. But then the Raiders did answer back, marched down the field, got a touchdown, 23-14. Listen, when you're in that position, I know you're at your own 34-yard line, but I'm 4th and 1 right there. And Mike Tomlin, I forget what he said in the press conference, but to me right there, this is so valuable because you know what? I'd rather go down swinging right there. 1 yard. I mean, that's just bad. I mean, hesitant confidence on your offensive line. You don't trust the fact that they're not going to be able to give you that extra yard or a couple inches to move past. And I just feel like right now you have to go for that. Here we go again. It's once again like the Browns playoff loss here. And you're trying to stay in this game. I mean, at that point. I mean, and you're down to 2 timeouts at that point. I mean, you cannot risk that. And my only problem is because once you start pushing to like around that 5-minute mark where you're trying to score, still down by 2 possessions, you're really asking your defense to play lockdown defense right there. Not allow another score. Try and get the ball back before the 2-minute warning. Offensively, to at least have a chance to like either tie or take the lead. You cannot do that. And that's the thing where I get a little disappointed with Tomlin. He gets a little aggressive at times. At the same time, too, I mean, how do you like not get frustrated with that point? I just feel like it's very embarrassing at that point. I love Mike Tomlin as a coach, but I definitely got to question that right now. I mean, for this. And when we look at it here, too, right now, I mean, in that game, I mean, going into it right now, I mean, for the most part, just very disheartening, to say the least, right now. And one of the quotes from Mike Tomlin right now, I mean, this is from Andrew Filipponi, host of the PM team, the Poland and Mueller, at 93.7 The Fan, quoting Mike Tomlin, "We don't live in our fears unless it's 4th and an inch in the 4th quarter," Mike Tomlin said in the post game. What kind of message they just sent to that right there? Pretty sad right there, and disappointing from Mike Tomlin's point of view. And also, too, Filipponi also did mention, too, each time that the Steelers did lose their home opener under Mike Tomlin, 2013, 18, 19, 2021, every time they missed the playoffs. So I hope that's not a bad omen for a sign of things to come later down the road as we look at it, as we go into this right now. So let's go into fair or foul topics right now. Fair or foul for this game. The loss was more on the offense as opposed to the defense as a whole. And when I really look at it right here, I'm going to have to say fair on that one. I mean, the defense only did so much. They only allowed 3 field goals in the first half in this game. I mean, when you look at the second half right there, where the Raiders really started to heat up, where they scored, 17 points right there, which included in that second half 2 touchdowns in the second half, with all 2 of them coming through the air, 2 touchdowns and a field goal. I mean, that field goal came late in the 4th quarter right there. I mean, which basically put them up for good. At that point, it was 26-17. When they're up 23-17, that pretty much was icing on the cake for that time. And I just really feel right now they got their work cut out for them. Bengals coming in to town next week. Listen, I'm still mad at the fact how they lost that game on Monday Night Football. That should not have been a loss. Again, a lot of things were spiraling out of control at that point, but that was a team they should have been beating right there. And to be honest, the way they play the Bears today, after nearly coming back in that contest. I gotta tell you right now, this is a Bengals team that's someone to be reckoned with. Ain't the same old bungles, I guess you could say, for right now, but for the most part, I mean, going into this game right now, when you look at what they're able to do, I mean, in this game, in Soldier Field right there, I mean, the Bears right now, who had a 2-touchdown lead, 17-3, and I mean, what was it? I mean, that was back in the fourth quarter. That was a pick six in that game, and 17-3, they got outscored the rest of that contest 14-3, but they were still able to manage to hold on to this game by 3 points. 20-17 was a final score right there. Joe Burrow right now, who's coming off a broken leg, threw for 207 yards, but he had 3 picks in this game, along with 2 touchdown passes, and he got sacked 4 times. So the Bears give them a lot of credit. They played phenomenally on defense, and this is it right now. And then, by the way, too, the Ravens, they got a 1-point lead on the Kansas City Chiefs with over 3 minutes to go left in the fourth quarter. So it's a very good possible chance all teams to finish 1-1, tie for first. And I think the Bengals right now, they'd be the first place team with the tiebreaker of being their common opponents. Also fair or foul, because I'm going to say fair for the offense. You can only do so much defensively where they had to give, and the interception did not help matters. And just not going for on 4th one. You got to go for that. Just disappointing right there. And that not going for it on 4th and 1 in the game hurt the Steelers when they had 2 timeouts. Fair. Definitely a major bullet wound right there. And last but not least, buying the Raiders as a contender in the AFC. I am buying right now in the Vegas Raiders. It's only 2 games. I still feel like they got a team that could reach its potential. And you also just see the continued growing relationship between Derek Carr and Jon Gruden. That's going to do it for this edition here of the Men of Steel podcast. Once again, you guys can follow me on social media, on Twitter at Men of Steel CTR, and on Instagram at Men of Steel Nations. I leave you. Don't be trolling. Be rolling. Here we go, sir. Here we go.